Welcome to the Inspirational, Informational, and Transparent Aviation Careers Podcast. Hey, what do you do when you get to your career goal and you realize this isn't really what I expected and this isn't what I want? We're going to talk a little bit about that in this episode. But first, a few housekeeping items. As you can tell, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm in a new location here. That's a future announcement. You can tell the runway behind me and where I am possibly. So we're coming up in the next month or two. We've actually moved, still have the studio here on campus, but we're going to also have another office here that's going to get us closer to the runway, so you can actually come and visit us at our new studio. And I am really excited for that because the old one, we weren't really taking a lot of guests there, but this one here, this is awesome. I mean, right there, Amazon, Control Tower. Here we are out on the field at Lakeland Linder International Airport, the home of Sun and Fun and Aerospace Center for Excellence. But anyway, let's get started with this episode. First of all, career coaching, we've changed a few things. Housekeeping items again, we've changed our rate. It's going to be $100 per career coaching session, and you can sign up for that down below. And if you're somebody who's looking at trying to move forward in their career, maybe you're looking for a career change, maybe you're looking to move to the next level in your career, we'll help you out with the career coaching. People do ask me a lot if we do interview prep. We do interview prep, but only for our coaching clients, and one of the reasons is that we are so busy with all the different things that are happening right now. As a matter of fact, if you notice, there's a big hiring spree going on. And as for my life, one of the things that's changed and has affected the podcast somewhat is the fact that I am now actually an instructor at the airline. And as you know, at my airline and every other airline, they're hiring so much right now that they really need flight instructors. So that's what I've been doing, and it's been keeping me real busy. So I've actually I have about 5 days less time off during the month. And those are the days I used to do for the podcast and the career coaching, just to give you some insight as to what's happening here and what's happening with the industry. Also, I want to talk in another episode about the pilot shortage. I think one of the biggest reasons we have a pilot shortage is we're to blame. It's the narrative. We don't tell people how long it takes to get to that goal, and that's going to be an upcoming episode, how to become an overnight success in only 5 years, because that's about how long it takes in the aviation industry. But just remember this, don't give up, don't stop. If there's a downturn in industry, you don't quit college because of the fact there's a downturn in the industry. You continue on, and that's what I want you to do, is to continue on. As you notice, it is a little bit warm out, so a little perspiring somewhat here for those that are watching me on video, but really excited about this episode here. We're going to make it a short one for you. And one of the things I do want to address, and this came up from somebody else that actually is a person that wrote into the podcast, and it was kind of interesting the way they worded this. So let me try to word this properly. So the person said to me, what do I do when, I'm like that, the dog that's running after the school bus? What do I do when I catch the school bus? I feel like that dog that ran after the school bus, and now I don't know what to do. And the point being is that person was trying to say, what is it that I do when I get to that career goal? I've been working on it for 5 years and then realize I'm here and this isn't really what I expected. Just remember this, and to make yourself feel better, if that happens to you, you don't know what you don't know. And that's the way it is in life. You really don't know what you don't know. And what does that mean? That means a lot of times you don't know how you're going to react to a situation until you're in that situation. A lot of times I liken it to people that don't know what type of ice cream they like to purchase or the kind of ice cream they like to eat. It could be vanilla, strawberry, chocolate. You may not know until you are actually somebody that tastes that. So you may have to go out there and taste that and find out. We're trying here as hard as we can at Aviation Careers Podcast to help you make decisions towards your career goal by helping you decide based on what other people have said about those careers. But it's not until you live it that sometimes you'll realize maybe this isn't the place I want to be. For instance, say you go to work for an airline and they fly all over the Caribbean. See, that's what I like to do. And that's not your thing. You don't want to go to the Caribbean. You want to go to Europe. But the airline you got hired with doesn't go to Europe. And all this time you had thought that that's what you wanted to do. You wanted to fly in the Caribbean, but now you want to move on to Europe flying, and they don't do that. So you're there, you've caught that school bus, and you realize, no, this isn't for me. Well, the thing that you need to do is start another plan. Start thinking about, is this what I want to do? Is there a change in direction I need to make? How would I actually move in that direction? What what changes do I need to make in my life, and how do I research whether that truly is what I want to do? Because it may or may not be what you really want to do. Because again, you came into this side of the field, say you were a cargo pilot and you love flying at night, but you don't realize that flying at night, to you, flying a 172, say, is different than someone flying at night where you go to work at 10 p.m. and you finish work at like 8 in the morning. That's a lot different. And that actually can be very challenging for people because of the fact that they don't realize that it's an overnight flying, and then you sleep during the day and you fly again at night. You find yourself tired every day, and you didn't realize that when you got into the whole career as say a cargo pilot. Also, you may actually work for a passenger airline because you just want to fly during the day, but you don't realize that the passenger airline that you fly for is one that does a lot of flying all night long. So again, these are things that are very difficult sometimes to figure out, but one of the ways to do that is to ask as many people as you can. And realize too, this at one airline, you could have a dozen different people and ask them the same question and get a dozen different responses. You have to really do some introspection and figure out, is this really what I want to do? And why is it that I want to do this? And you may not realize that until you get to your end goal, that this isn't what I want to do. The good thing is, when you get there and realize that, you still have time ahead of you. You can change. Everybody can change their situation. The tougher part I find, and this is something that a lot of people don't realize, and they always ask me, why do people stay at the airline so long? Why don't they just go to a different airline if they don't like the airline they're with? Say you're super senior at an airline and you have a lot of years in, say 10, 20 years. If you change airlines, you start all over again. And that's one thing is in this field, everything is based on your seniority. It's not based on how good of a pilot you are, etc. When you upgrade to captain, it's all based on when your number comes up. So that's something that's a little bit tough for people to do, is to get into a field like that where there are no horizontal moves. The only time you have a horizontal move is in like the corporate world, in the management world, in the airlines. So you're not going to really see that. So again, if you're looking at it from a pilot perspective, from a crew perspective, a flight attendant's perspective, and you get into this job at the airline, you say, hey, wait a minute, this isn't what I wanted. Now what do I do? What if you get to that point and you realize, I don't know what to do next? That's what we try to do here, is do some career counseling and help you. We do the career coaching, obviously. You can sign up for that. But do seek out counsel. We're not the only ones that do it. There's people out there that can help. Talk to your family and say, hey, listen, I didn't realize this is what I was getting into. Another thing, too, is that, and this is what I suggest to people when they're thinking about getting into aviation as a career in general, go out and fly. If you're thinking about flying airplanes, go fly an airplane. And the reason being is you may go fly an airplane and realize this isn't what you want to do. And the best way to find that out is just go ahead and do a discovery flight. Go rent an airplane. Get a flight instructor. Go out and have some fun. So you can actually realize that this isn't really what I want, or this is what I want. And that's a great way to start. The other thing you have to caution yourself about is, remember when I said there's 12 different pilots and 12 different situations and 12 different scenarios when you talk to airline pilots? Maybe if you have 12 different people you talk to. Same thing with pilots flying smaller airplanes. You just don't know. So one of the things I want you to do is you want to go out and talk to a lot of different pilots, because you could go to the airport and people will sit there and tell you, oh, you don't want to do this, you don't want to do that. But most importantly, you need to listen to yourself and what's best for you. Another caution I have too is getting to that bus and realizing that this isn't the thing that you thought you were going to catch. This isn't the airline that you thought it was when you first started. Try not to concentrate on what other people are telling you what to do, because all through your career, especially in this career, there's going to be a lot of people telling you, oh, you don't need to do that. Don't do this. Don't do that. You need to do this. Listen to them, say thank you, but make sure you do what's best for you, not what is best for, in their world, in their perception, what is best for you, because they have a bias and they look at life from a certain perspective. You may look at it from a totally different perspective. A good example is flying seaplanes. Here's a good one. A lot of people say, oh, that's crazy. You don't want to do that for the rest of your career. That isn't true. There are people out there that have had long careers flying seaplanes in Alaska, in the Caribbean, and they love it. So just realize that with every career, There's positives and there's negatives. And you just have to seek those out. That's the most important thing. So that when you actually find that yellow bus, you're that dog running after that yellow bus, and you find it, you won't be surprised when you get it. Another point to be made is that when you reach a career goal, or when you reach a goal in general, like when you get your private, your instrument commercial, a lot of times you kind of get a little bit of a downer after that. It kind of, you're like, oh man, I made it here. Now what? That happens. You put all this effort in, you get their certificate, and you're like, oh, this is it. And that's just the way it is. That's the way it is in life in general. We put out this big effort, like when you win a medal, and you hear about this all the time. People win the Olympics and they get the gold medal, and then they get severely depressed afterwards. It's because you've concentrated so much on this one goal, you don't know what's next. My thing, though, is, and my advice to you is, think beyond the goal. Think beyond the goal. Make sure you think about what you would do once you get to that goal. If it's an airline pilot and it's an airline captain, say you've reached that point where you're making really good money, maybe go out and buy one of these, buy an airplane, and now go enjoy yourself flying around. Maybe go out and buy that vacation home. Maybe help other people move forward in their career. I mean, that's what I do. I spend all my days off doing this and helping people move forward in their career. So you have to figure out what it is that's best for you. But don't be afraid of going after that bus and realizing maybe that's not the goal that I thought it was. Just go ahead and go for it, but talk to as many people as you can about that situation, that job, whatever it may be, and then relate it to your life. Take all that advice and take it in, and then realize it may or may not be best for you. Well, anyway, I hope that's helped. What do you do when you realize that you get to that goal, that end goal, and it's not for you? Don't fret. There is the next step in your life, because there's always the next step in your life, and you can always do something else. And that's what I want you to know, and that's what I want to leave you with. But most importantly, when you are doing anything in life, whether it's trying to achieve a goal, whether it's trying to become a private pilot, whether it's researching different careers in aviation, the most important thing you need to do is to take action. Take action today. After you're done watching this video, listening to this podcast, I want you to do something today. Whether it's writing a note down, using a memo on your phone saying, hey, I have to remember to research this book, to research career coaching or how to put together a resume. But I want you to take action today and take one step today towards your career goal. Well, stay flying out there. We'll talk to you next episode.